Okay, so continuing on with the word problem examples, we started in the last video and I got cut off, so I'm just going to make a new video for the next two examples. Um, Number 3, it says the cooking club made some pies to sell during lunch to raise money for an end of the year banquet. In the last video, I mentioned that there's no mathematical statement in that sentence, and so when we go to look for a way to write the equation out of this, we don't have to even look at that sentence because there's nothing important in there. Continuing on, though, the cafeteria contributed 2 pies to the club. Each pie was then cut into 4 pieces and sold. There were a total of 36 pieces to sell. How many pies did the club make? So, putting that down there, first step, if you remember from this little sheet, what is the unknown? What are they asking us to find? Here they're saying how many pies did the club make? So in that case, and just to show you that we don't have to use X for the letter every time, we'll call this P. And for this problem, P is going to mean the number of pies that the club made. All right. And again, we say that's defining our variable. For this problem, P is going to represent this definition, number of pies that club made. All right. Remember, the second step is to figure out what the total is after everything is said and done. Sometimes that's not apparent, but in this problem, they lay it out for you on a silver platter. A total of 36 pieces is to be sold. So in this case, everything in this problem is going to add up to be 36. And remember, I said that for equations, whenever you find that total, it gives you insight into what type of unit that is. In this case, it's going to be the number of pieces of pie. So this 36 represents number of pieces of pie. Everything on the left hand, every term that we have over here, has to also represent the number of pieces of pie. So now we'll start. Again, in the beginning I said you can skip this first thing. That's just a bunch of junk. Getting into the next thing, it says the cafeteria contributed 2 pies to the club. So notice I can't just write 2 here because that's not in terms of the number of pieces of pie. So if you think about it, if the cafeteria cuts or contributes 2 pies to the club and each pie is cut into 4 pieces, how many pieces does that mean? If you're thinking 8, you are correct. Take the number of pies and multiply it by the number of pieces that each pie is cut into. 2 times 4 is 8. So that's how many pieces that the cafeteria is contributing. All right. So now we've got one other term here that we need. There's one more word in the problem here. 4 pieces. Notice we're trying to find a total number of pieces of pie. So in this case, we're going to be adding them up. Okay. So we're going to have 8 pieces contributed by the cafeteria. Now we need to figure out how many pieces that the club are going to contribute to this. Notice that we don't know the number of pieces, but we have defined P to be the number of pies that the club made. And remember, in this first thing, we said that the number of pies times how many pieces that they cut them into tells us the total number of pieces for that particular organization. So in this case, they're cut into 4 pieces, and P is the number of pies. So we can say that 4 times P will represent the number of pieces that come from the club itself. All right, so this is the equation that we're going to write. To solve it, again, just a 2-step equation. We have to subtract 8 from both sides. 8 minus 8 is 0. 4P comes down. And then 36 minus 8 is going to be 28. And then we divide both sides by 4. So we get that P is 28 divided by 4 is 7. And again, if you want to write it in the most technical way, you can say that the club made 7 pies. And that's all there is to that one. Okay? Let's look down here at number 6. It says Mo4, and what a weird name it is. I always wonder about how they pick the names for these problems. But Mo4 spent half of his weekly allowance on clothes. To earn more money, his parents let him clean the oven for $8. what is his weekly allowance if he ended with $15? First step, what is the unknown? We're going to call that X. X in this problem is going to be the thing that they're asking us. What is his weekly allowance? So X will be his weekly allowance. And then next step is to figure out what the total is. After all it's said and done, he's going to end up with $15. So everything here is going to be equal to 15. Notice again that the unit on this number is in terms of dollars, money. So every unit over here on the left side is also going to have to be in terms of money. So what does he start with? Well, in here is a key word, the word half. What did that keyword mean on that paper that I showed you in the other video? Well, half means to divide by 2. So his weekly allowance is the thing that we don't know. So if you're spending half of that, basically what you need to do is take X, his weekly allowance, divide by 2, and that will give you half of his weekly allowance. Okay? And then it says in the next sentence, to earn more money, his parents let him clean the oven for $8. So we're adding, because he's earning, $8 to that. Okay? So in this case, we have x over 2 plus 8 equal to 15. And then we've got a two-step equation that we can solve pretty quickly. Remember, we don't want to deal with this x over 2 until we get rid of this plus 8. So I have to subtract 8 from both sides, which leaves me with x over 2 is equal to 15 minus 8 is 7. And then remember, if you're dividing by 2, the opposite of that is to multiply. And what I do on one side of an equation, I have to do on the other. So I'll multiply 7 by 2. This will cancel, and we're left with x is equal to 7 times 2, which is 14. So the answer to this question is his weekly allowance. His weekly allowance is $14. Okay? What I want you to do then is to finish this worksheet, do number 2, 4, and 5, and bring that to class the next time you come to class and show me, and I'll give you credit for your homework. If you have any questions, bring them to class.